unjustified delay in the implementation of the projects, and these so-called imperfections. I call these imperfections. Iniisip ko na, Mr. Chair, do we have representatives from Mr. Chair, do you have representatives from the Department of Finance? Marlica Fund?
The OF represented here.
Wala, no?
They're not.
Kasi I'm taking a different approach to this. Kasi while I was listening to the discussions this afternoon, parang yung trajectory niya is more on yung performance ng ERC insofar as NGCP is concerned. Yun ang impression ko. With all due respect dun sa mga legitimate issues na raised by Congressman Dan Fernandez and was aptly parang inopose ni Congressman Rufus Rodriguez, to a certain degree tama yung tama yung manifestation made by Congressman Rufus Rodriguez kasi we're talking about yung performance, yung so-called performance, yung so-called issues na raised by Congressman Dan Fernandez. Am I correct in saying, Attorney Sagayo, that these are pending before ERC? Or some of those were already decided in ERC?
Mr. Chairman, if I may respond to that, as I have mentioned earlier,
The Honorable Colada, is he?
Yeah.
he's asking
The Honorable
Mr. Chair,
Attorney Bugayo. Sorry.
Sagayo, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. All these issues, as I've said earlier, which are being discussed back and forth between ERC and the Honorable Congressman Dan Fernandez, are now the subject of cases which are pending with the Honorable Energy Regulatory Commission. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
So I just would like to remind everyone, this was raised already in the last hearing, that Section 1 of our Rules of Procedure governing inquiries in native legislation, which was approved unanimously, the filing or pendency of a case before any court, criminal or quasi-judicial or administrative body shall not stop or abate any inquiry conducted to carry out a legislative purpose. Thank you very much. We now proceed.
So we are allowed based on Section 1.
Yeah.
So that basically address the concerns raised by Congressman Rodriguez. Correct, yeah. Going back to, this is like a manifestation on my part. The point why I made mention of Marlica Fund and Department of Finance is that when I tried to Google it, NGCP, January 2025, yung lumalabas, Mr. Chair, Marlica Fund, NGCP. And rumor has it, or I don't know if it's rumor, anyways, Attorney De Leon of SGP is here. She's in the best position to elaborate on that. The last quarter of 2024, I think, around August, thereabouts, Secretary Rector, the Group Secretary, came out with this pronouncement. I don't know if it's the official position of the Department of Finance, but being the chairman of Marlica Fund, yung sinabi niya, Mr. Consing, Rafael Consing, you should take a good look at NGCP. Take a good look at NGCP. That is a good first investment opportunity for 4 reasons. And these 4 reasons are, number 1, security. What with the West Philippine Sea problem that we have right now. Number 2, profitability. It's a good business opportunity. Number 3, track record. And number 4, development oriented. which basically is was inside with the dynamics behind the creation of Marcoleta Fund.
The system operations floor in Quezon City, a place usually reserved only for dispatchers. Our guests are usually confined to a conference room beside it, but because Mr. Matibag and then Secretary Kusi were of course had a spot visit, we did allow them to come in without notice.
That's what exactly what I'm saying with the monitors. Di ba yun? Sa Quezon City.
Mr. Matibag, that was for the system operations, not just the monitor, sir. That's the control center. That's where everything happens. That's why that's a very high secure area that I myself cannot enter without going through the security protocols, even though I am an employee of NGCP.
Okay, Mr. Chair, may I continue? I think that was settled. Kanina po, sinabi ko na parang pinagtitripan natin ng NGCP sapagkat ang pinagmumulan po ng cost natin sa ating electric bill, kung pag-uusapan ng NGCP po, transmission is only 3%. Parang ayaw po nilang maniwala. Mr. Chair, ako po, religiously po na ino-compute ko po, alam po yun eh. Alam po 3%, yung nagsasabi po ng 10%, nagsisinungaling yun kasi hindi niya alam yung auxiliary services. Alam ko po yun eh, 3% lang talaga. Madam ERC, may I continue with you, please? When you fail to provide regulatory reset for 2 regulatory periods, did it affect the operational cost of NGCP?
Mr. Chair, I don't think so, Mr. Chair, because they were still able to declare dividends during those periods.
That does not answer my question. They might have declared dividends, but I'm talking about operational cost. They might have absorbed the cost. Do you have an idea as to how much they lose? Or they lost?
Mr. Chair, they would have filed losses, but since they had unrestricted retained earnings, and from those unrestricted retained earnings were able to declare dividends, I would understand that they were able to cover their costs during that period where there was no reset.
So that is the kind of reasoning that you will give this committee. Kaya pala, kahit na mandatorily kailangan gumawa ng regulatory reset, you are all taking your sweet time sapagkat alam ninyo, walang nawawala sa kanila. Is that your presumption, Madam?
I with all due respect, Mr. Chair, I beg to differ. This
So
commission
you
has...
believe there is no cost on the part of NGCP?
No, there is cost, Mr.
That's
Chair,
why
of
I'm
course.
asking you, do you have an idea as to how much
They filed...
NGCP might have lost?
No, they did not file for losses, Mr. Chair. They filed for...
I'm not asking you, ma'am, if they filed for losses.
I
I'm
thought that
asking
was
you
the
if you have an
question, Mr.
idea.
Chair.
If you have an idea, please say so.
Wala po. Kasi po, ang final po nila ay increase in authorized revenue.
NGCP, do you agree?
Mr. Chair, with all due respect to Attorney Mona, what we filed for was correct, but that is because it represents an under-recovery on the part of NGCP.
How much was the amount of under-recovery?
For, I think, our 4th regulatory period, we applied for an under-recovery of 200 billion pesos.
200 billion pesos.
Yes, sir, because as you already mentioned, the last regulatory period approved by the ERC was conducted in regulatory approval was conducted in 2009 for the period ending 2015. So beginning 2016 up to this date, the revenue scheme that we have been working on is interim in nature and no longer reflects the required capital expenditure needed for the continued development of the transmission system.
What was your capex in 2014?
Around 48 billion.
You might want to review your records. I'm asking 2014, madam.
Let me go back, Mr. Chair, to my records.
Huwag kang nire-nervyos, ma'am. Wala namang nagko-contempt dito eh. Wala na si Congressman Paduano. Si Dan Fernandez hindi mahilig sa contempt yan.
May I given
Sige, balikan na kita, ma'am.
Yes, sir.
Mamaya.